Hi, and welcome to PostScript. I'm John Petersen from the Arlington Institute, and we're pleased to have you with us today. Every month we sponsor, the Arlington Institute sponsors a speaker series here in Berkeley Springs, and we invite in speakers from around the world who have specific things to say about the transition to the new world that's happening right now. We call the series Berkeley Springs Transition Talks, and you can find out more about it at transitiontalks.org. And we're excited about our guest today. Robert Coxon, Robert Haig Coxon, is one of the most well-known composers and performers of what the music industry calls ambient music or new age kind of music. Robert is an extraordinary composer who has published over 11 different albums, and he's composed the music for television programs, and perhaps is best known for being the backup musician for Lee Carroll and Cryon, and he travels internationally to performing in front of thousands and thousands of people in different places around the world. Some of his albums are The Infinite Past and Prelude to Infinity, and his most recent one, or his most famous one, was The Silent Path, which was an international bestseller and an extraordinary kind of hit of it. And the music is really quite familiar, and you'll hear a little bit more of it today. And so, Robert, we're happy to have you with us.
Thank you.
Welcome to
Nice to be here. Beautiful area.
Yeah.
Very beautiful.
Welcome to PostScript. I wanted to start this off by talking about a book that I've been reading. I've been reading a book called The Physics of Love by John Keeley. And John Keeley was a scientist from the late 1800s who Nikola Tesla says the world's understanding of how reality works is going to be based upon the principles of John Keeley. And Keeley essentially says everything is music.
Of course.
Keeley says that when you get down to the essential nature of reality, everything vibrates, everything reverberates in different ways, and the essential quality of everything that we experience, everything that we see, is the interrelationships of those vibrations, and thence the resonance. He calls it sympathetic resonance, vibratory resonance is what the process is. So is everything music?
Of course. Everything has to be music.
Why?
Even you go back in the ancient readings, you know, the Bible, the verdicts, everything, they all talk about, was translated as the word, but what they really mean is the sound. In the beginning was the sound. And,
but how does that work? I mean, you're involved in, more than anyone that I know, you seem to play this bridge role between this essential nature of what reality is and and kind of everyday life. That is to say, you play music that changes the essential nature of this physical experience. I mean, how do you understand that works?
Well, I play music that connects this 3D reality to other dimensions. Some might call it the dream world, some might call it something else, higher consciousness. But one of my missions is to open what I call the portals, or to get rid of the veil, go beyond the veil, so that we can not always be living within the box. That's very limiting, being in the box. And you don't want to just be outside of the box, you want to get rid of the box. And I've just always understood that music is everything. And being a composer who does film work and that, you know, I could sit down and write music that when I look at someone, I know what their music was. One of the producer here, it was interesting before. I was thinking about her, and this Ukrainian piece came through, and of course she's Ukrainian, with that I didn't know. But that's because she's resonating at a certain frequency, and I can pick up on that, and there's music for that. There's music for that chair over there.
That's the additional and interesting kind of component about what you do, because it's not like you're just a composer and a performer, but you channel, you connect, you have this kind of aperture that connects both kind of vertically and horizontally, if you will.
Yes, well, vertically, horizontally, all dimensions, all directions we can't even think about yet.
So how did this start? I mean, you started playing piano when you were 1.5 years old. I mean, how in the world do you get your hands on a keyboard?
It was frustrating because my fingers were too small.
Yeah.
You know, so I couldn't play.
Necessarily.
And it's really weird. I really worked on that to get my fingers to stretch more. And I don't have big hands, but I can stretch on the piano a tenth. Most people, 8 notes, 9, 10. I can do that. Maybe because I felt inadequate when I was 1.5. But my grandmother had a piano, and she taught me to play. The official lessons only started when I was 9, and she offered me her piano if I would take classical piano lessons. So I did the classical piano.
So, but you did that, and then your grandmother, the same one, was?
No, the other one.
The other one.
The other grandmother was the one that was into everything that wasn't 3D.
Yeah.
And she lived in New York City, and she studied with, you know, all those great teachers came to New York to teach at the town hall or, you know, the Carnegie Hall,
yeah,
wherever.
Right.
And she would go to these lectures, and she got to know a lot of these people very well. So she'd come up to Montreal when I was a little kid and be explaining all sorts of things to me. But it was always natural to me that the music just poured through as it does now. It just keeps pouring through. But there was one point where I realized, wow, the two are connected, and this is part of my mission to create music that are going to help people basically feel good. And feel good doesn't just mean relaxing. It means going beyond relaxing. It means feeling good to the point where you're opening up yourself to this greater universe and getting the answers to all your questions.
Well, we had an interesting conversation last night about kind of the origins of music and where it came from. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, we were talking yesterday about how Western music, I don't mean country and Western, I mean Western world music, classical music, etc., how it developed. And it basically developed from Gregorian chant, where everyone's singing the same thing. Oh, you're all singing in unison. Or you may be singing in octaves, which is the same note. You have a do where you have a do, but everyone's singing the same thing.
And that was the progression, right? I mean, it started just in unison. It started
from that in unison.
And then it went to octaves.
We didn't have harmony at that point. We didn't have major and minor chords as we have today. And then somehow they started singing an open fifth.
What's that?
Which, okay, that's just everyone singing. Suppose Gregorian. Oh.
Yeah. And
then we get this where instead of singing this or just this, you're 5 notes away. So if you sing that parallel, as opposed, so you have this at the same time as that. You see, the unison is the clearest thing. The octave is very clear. And the next clearest thing is the open fifth. So we don't know if they experimented with it or by mistake. Some people start singing the open fifth. But when they started singing that way, suddenly the Catholic Church said, you can't do that. And why? Because they were realizing that they were connecting to their higher self. They were connecting to what they would call God in that period, without going through the Pope.
Just because of
just because of that open fifth, just by playing this.
Keys?
Yes. I actually have a CD called Mental Clarity that is based on that. But mathematically, you see, music is mathematics. So the open fifth, it's this, you're talking about the second and third. The first and second harmonic after your fundamental. It's all mathematical. You keep adding things on. I
understand, but why is God, the access to God in two tones or two keys?
We don't know why, but what this does to your consciousness when you listen to that, first of all, it totally relaxes you and it balances you.
So you could put,
you're creating
you could
a balance
wire somebody
between heaven and
up.
earth.
You could wire somebody up and watch these kind of changes in their brain or whatever. Right?
We did that.
Yeah.
The CD I have called Mental Clarity, we did a research project before we even put it out in the market to fine tune it. And we were actually looking for a sound that would help the mind go into alpha immediately. We never did find that.
That's a certain band of
a band of frequencies between 9 and 11 hertz. And we actually didn't find that, although we were expecting to find that. What we did find was that this open fifth sound is actually three sounds. An A, the octave of the A, and then the fifth. So this is the sound you're hearing. There's 20 minutes of that on the album, just that. And what it does...
Exciting.
Pardon?
I said, that sounds exciting. 20 minutes of those three notes.
Yeah, but what it does to you... Yeah, it sounds... People, when we first put it out in the stores, people were sending them back saying it was stuck on the first note. And so we'd write them back, say it's also the last note. We'll introduce another note next time.
Oh, that's great.
But the scientific... what we did a project. We hooked up 36 people. Hooked up their brains to, did individual sessions with it, and finding out that everyone, what it did was balancing the left and right brain to start with.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was very interesting. So you're creating a balance. You're not trying to be like some people say, oh, you got to use the right brain. That's the creative side.
Yeah.
No, you got to use a balance, because we have to be able to interpret creativity into the physical world, and the left brain helps you to stabilize that into the physical world. And that's what playing the piano is
so
left
now
brain,
you've got these two keys, and that gets you to God. Now, I mean, what else do you need to do?
Well, what they also found out with that sound, they were able to actually manifest things. I know, and people say, yeah, sure.
I mean, who's they? How does this work?
The monks.
Oh, the monks.
They were able to do that, yeah. They could materialize things.
Just from those two sounds.
Yeah, and this sounds really hokey.
Yeah,
it sounds like we shouldn't even be talking about it. But I've seen it happen in workshops.
Give me an example. Can you play a little bit that kind of is an example of what those sounds would sound like?
Well, see, we're going to end up with a piano sound in here because it doesn't involve my other sounds. But we could sneak in a clip when they edit this of the Mental Clarity sound, and you'll see what it does. And I remember people, when we first brought it, I would have people listen to it on headphones, and they would say, it sounds like, what it really does, it gets you to focus on nothing.
Yeah.
Which is great, because when we try to meditate, we close our eyes and we say, oh, did I turn the stove off? Where are the kids? What's the dog doing? You know. And this, someone explained it very well. I said, it's like my mind wanders here and it pulls me back to the center. My mind wanders and it pulls me back to the center.
The music.
So you become really centered.
Yeah, the music.
Yeah. And they use this when the scientist and medical research doctor that I worked with doing this, they trained the Canadian Winter Olympic team. I don't know, it was about 10 years ago when they had in Vancouver Games, the Winter Games. And Canada, you know, has 1/10 the population of the U.S. And but Canada won more gold medals than anyone. Yeah. And they trained the team for peak performance using that aspect of the mental clarity, getting you right.
You're Canadian, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All your life?
Sure.
Yeah.
If I should say a
yeah, you are saying it.
I am saying it. You know, we don't realize we're saying it. Right?
We understand.
Well, we're starting to learn the alphabet.
Yeah, that's good.
But this, take that further.
Yeah, take it.
Take it further with the open fifth. We took the Mental Clarity CD in Mexico at a ranch that grows bell peppers, greenhouses. And we did this, they have greenhouses the size of 10 football fields. This is big operation. And when you plant the seeds, there's a percentage that won't grow. They won't even germinate, or some that germinate and they die before they bear fruit.
Right.
So you could say there's like a percentage of death in there.
Right.
And they put the seeds out on a table, and they played the sound to the seeds. So the seeds are vibrating at the sound of the mental clarity for 36 hours. Then they planted all these seeds. They reduced the death rate by 53%.
Wow.
So there's something going on there.
Clearly.
And what I feel it's doing is helping to correct the DNA of the seeds that are, you know, having the problem germinating.
Yeah, well, the underlying principle is, again, everything is energy. Everything vibrates.
Absolutely.
And the kind of coagulation, the configuration that presents itself in this physical reality is the product of the complex vibrations.
Of course.
The waveforms.
Yes.
Right. And that then the waveforms are essentially describe the interactions of all of the kind of component parts that holds it together and makes it what it is, right?
Exactly.
And so therefore, you're a waveform and I'm a waveform in those kinds of terms, and the way that we interact with each other is again by vibrations and by resonance. By resonance,
and the harmony within that resonance determines.
Talk a little bit about that. Why do we like some songs? Why do some things kind of work for you and some don't? And
you know, when I went through university and studied composition, the one thing they could not teach you was how to write a hit tune.
Yeah.
Why go to university if you can't learn how to write a hit tune? You know? You're paying all that money.
Yeah.
Interestingly, you can take all the rules in the world of, you know, what the essence of good writing music is, and then you take a hit tune, and there's always something in that tune that breaks the rules. But the rules are human rules. They're not universal rules. They're not natural rules that are out there. We've decided what the rules should be. But it started to create questions in my mind. How could something, a hit tune, affect people so much emotionally?
Yeah.
And you could, not just a hit tune from, you know, Elvis or for the Beatles or whoever, but go all the way back to the classical composers when you have something like Moonlight Sonata. Why, for so many hundreds of years, does it affect people? And I have this feeling that because it resonates in harmony with your DNA, and when something resonates in harmony, it just fits together. It's like two people meet.
Well, it clearly resonates at some level. I mean, that would be the definition, by definition, of what that is. And so what makes you believe that it's the resonance with the DNA rather than, I don't know, what else?
Well, first of all, when we talk about DNA, most scientists talk about one layer of DNA, that 3D layer.
Yeah.
I really believe there are other layers of DNA.
Mm-hmm.
You know, from your, there's the DNA from your ancestors. That's sort of the DNA that they talk about from your blood ancestors.
Yeah, right.
But then there's other DNAs of, if you're into talking about past lives and that, you have a DNA lineage of that. So that there's many layers of those things.
So the hit song kind of response is to the essence of who you are.
Yes, and it's like, oh,
and what
now
is,
I feel good.
Yeah, and what is more essential than DNA, I guess. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a very logical kind of notion.
And maybe that what that piece of music also does is help you to realign your energies, yourself, within yourself, so that you feel personally in harmony.
Yeah.
Or whatever that could be, you know, when we talk about feeling, oh, I feel at peace, you know.
Yeah.
Well, what is that? Well, that's being in harmony and feeling balanced within yourself.
Let's give people an example. Can you do a little segment of Silent Path? Just do a couple of minutes here.
I can't hear unless I have my other sounds.
Ah.
Yeah. But let me
What can you
let me
do?
play something for you.
Okay.
I'll make something up here.
All right.
This is instant composition.
Nice.
Thank
Now,
you.
one of the things that you do, which is quite interesting, as you kind of alluded to it earlier, is that you sit down with people who you've never met before,
Right.
and you channel music
Channel.
for them.
Yes.
What is this? What's going on?
Well, there's two ways I could do it. I could connect with their energy and create music that is their energy there, but that's not really the purpose. The purpose is to create music that they need, should I say, maybe directed from a soul level, what they need for their good in this life, you know, to be in the right energy to perform their mission.
Right.
Because we're all here for a reason. So the music that comes out is a reflection of them, but on a more profound level of the real them.
Yeah.
You know, we're all trying to be the master. And so it's on a master level that's coming out. And interestingly, when I do it, we tend to do it now in my studio, top of Mount Gabriel. This is up in Canada. And doing it from a photograph, and people say, oh yeah, but how can you do it from the photograph? But I've learned to be able to focus in just by using the photograph, and by the time I finish the piece of music, I will record some comments after, but I see them as an open book. I can tell so much about them and what they need.
This is fascinating because you're describing music in other than kind of transient, interesting, entertaining terms.
Yeah.
You're describing this kind of full spectrum, kind of interface with the essential nature of who we are. And that's what your workshop is about, and that's what we want to talk about a little in the next segment.
Sure.
Is some things about how music can help your health, how music can help you to manifest, how music can help you to live longer, and so on.
Right.
And so we'll be back. But Robert Haig Coxon, thank you for being with us today, and
thank you for having me.
Thank you for being with us on PostScript today. I'm John Petersen from the Arlington Institute, and we're coming to you from Berkeley Springs, West Virginia. And you can learn more about us on transitiontalks.org.